Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Oops, wrong button there. Let's go. I don't know if I'm enjoying the news or being frustrated by the news more, but it cracks me up because you already know what's going on. Kamala is now being called the presumptive nominee. How? And in the lower third on the graphic, Kamala Harris becomes de facto Democrat nominee. That's what it is on MSNBC. On Fox News, it says Harris earned enough delegates for nomination. No, she didn't. She didn't earn any delegates. She's earned the same amount as my first guest, Raven Harrison. You've earned just as many delegates as Kamala Harris in the Democrat primary system. Maybe you should be the nominee.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. But you are correct. We had the same number. And again, earning delegates. This is not democracy. Okay, with them pledging delegates, the voters are supposed to decide who the nominee is, and they decided they wanted a decrepit old racist, Joe Biden, to do this. This is absolutely ridiculous if people celebrating this as this some kind of democratic progress.
Yeah, I love that the use of the word earned, though. Kamala Harris says she's earned enough delegates to be the nominee. Didn't earn one. It's 100% backwards. But this is how we save democracy, Raven.
Is by destroying it.
Right. Throwing out the results of 50 primaries, or really just 47 primary and caucuses, because Delaware and Florida just deemed Joe Biden to be the winner and gave him all the delegates. And where else did they do that? Oh, yeah, in Alaska, they just had an air quotes voice vote at the convention and gave him all the delegates. So some of these delegates weren't even earned to begin with by Joe Biden, and then they're just secondarily given to her.
Correct. And like you said, we're going to talk about earned. If we're going to go back through her career, what has she earned? You know, is servicing Willie Brown considered earning? Okay, that's ridiculous. So there's nothing that's been earned. This is a coup against a sitting president. This is what this is. Backdoor deals. What president resigns through X on unofficial letterhead and then is not seen for 5 days? I mean, this whole thing reeks to high heaven, James. I cannot believe even the staunchest of Democrats would try to support this as not a mockery of our judicial and our government systems.
Right. And an update on Joe Biden's missing issues is that he was seen going from between an SUV and an airplane today. So we know he's alive, or maybe they've got one of those animatronic, those human-like robots from Westworld. Body
doubles. I'm sorry. I saw the video. I don't believe that is Joe Biden. You notice how Joe Biden normally goes up the short stairs, that Joe Biden normally on the calendar, it normally says President Joe Biden. It just says the president. Okay, so we saw someone go up the regular stairs, so he's the only person in known history whose agility, mobility, and ability to go up the stairs got better with, quote, COVID.
Ooh, look at you. Raven is not believing that was Joe Biden we saw today.
It is not Joe Biden, I believe, that we saw today. He's been using the short stairs. He supposedly has been so incapacitated that he's not been able to make a public appearance. And all of a sudden now he's great and he can walk up the stairs better than he could 3 years ago when he was tripping up them. That doesn't make any sense. And this is still not how it works, how a sitting president gets to do things behind closed doors, and we're getting phoned in calls and things like that. This is ridiculous. This is scary, and Americans should be scared. Who is running the country?
All right. I think the next time we're supposed to see him, there's an address to the nation that he has announced for, I believe, Thursday at 7 o'clock our time. What are they going to do about that?
Well, they're going to probably either pump him up, or we're going to see some kind of pre-recorded message or some AI-generated garbage that's going to come out there. But let me give you a fun fact. We've got some issues here with Kamala. You realize that any money, according to the rules, any money that Joe Biden earned under this campaign has to be refunded and returned. So I would like to see what their plan is, because we've already got an issue with some of the money that Kamala has. And as far as these pledged delegates, remember, the voters were supposed to decide who their nominee. So anybody celebrating that Hakeem Jeffries and Pelosi are the ones who decided who is going to be the nominee should be enjoying their trial subscription to communism.
Well, I think we learned who the real master of puppets is in the Democrat Party. You know, a lot of people call in and they think it's Obama. It's whoever these donors are, because Obama asked him to step down. He didn't step down. Pelosi asked him to step down. He didn't step down. He did bad in the debate. He didn't step down. It was only when they came and said the donations are drying up. And if that's the final straw, then those are the guys who really control the Democrat Party.
That's part of it, James. But remember, you had blackmail chess going on here. You had Jill Biden saying, well, if you try to remove me, then I'm going to out, Obama's lifestyle. You had Obama going, if you try that, then I'm going to have your husband removed on the 25th. And then when they got to a neutral ground, Kamala said, well, if you step over me, I'm going to play the race card. And you're going to have to explain to all these people why you guys went over me. So they've got a three-way, chess match going on of blackmail. That's what I think happened. And ultimately, Kamala's going to prove why she was so unpopular. She couldn't get elected the first time. She's going to get blown out. He's going to win all 50 states because she was so unpopular in her primary, she couldn't get one delegate. And now all of a sudden, I feel 86 million votes coming, James.
Right. It's going to be a new record. You're not going to believe it. The turnout's going to be monumental, astronomical even. Raven, I wish we disagreed more because you seem like you'd be really fun to argue with.
I am. Ask my husband.
Right. What do you got going on outside the James Show these days?
We are working on these issues, election integrity. We're trying to get some accountability, transparency. We want Cheadle arrested. She resigned. She should have been fired and arrested, and so should Mayorkas. We're going to start getting accountability for the American people instead of just talk. Nobody wants a tweet fest. We want to see some action, and that's what I'm doing.
All right, there she is, Raven Harrison. Thanks for being on the James Show. When we get back, I'm going to let you hear a little bit from Kamala's first public speech as the presumptive Democrat nominee. I mean, can we even, they're using the term de facto on MSNBC, and I like that. Right now, she is the de facto nominee, even though it's not official, but she's on the clock. Kamala Harris's presidential audition begins now. What do you think? 800-288-9227. This is The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, John Hughes. Hey, welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the big show. We're just talking about this new era we are in the election 2024. This is the Kamala audition era. And I appreciate all the feedback, however you get to me, whether you send me an email at james@wbap.com or Facebook instant message is most common. You can comment on the video streams that we have going on right now. It pops up on my screen. I think Sandra is saying what a lot of us are feeling right now. Sandra on the Facebook feed says, what the hell is going on in Washington, D.C.? Not okay. All right, man, I feel that one. All right, I want to ask you. I've been telling you a lot. I'm going to do a lot of asking on today's show. Like, what do you think about this? Do you think this is going to work? Do you think this just should work? If you're a Democrat, you probably have a different answer than the Republicans. Republicans probably want her to be the candidate. Democrats, do you want her to be the candidate? So she gives her first speech today at the first event as I like the MSNBC term, give them credit, the de facto Democrat nominee. And so she's up. Some people were making fun of her jacket that are co-workers. I don't want to name any names. I think she looks fine. I know so little about fashion, though. My opinion should mean very little, but she doesn't look like a freak. She doesn't look embarrassing. Because there are some people like in Congress, Frederica Wilson, she always wears the cowboy hat and she's dressed like a pack of Starburst. It's not bad. She looks presidential. She looks fine. She's dressed kind of like Rachel Maddow, kind of like me when I wear a T-shirt with a jacket. But anyway, here's the good part. She's in front of a big phalanx of American flags. And I wanted to start at this part because I feel like they are market testing a new slogan. See if you can pick this up. Hit it, Garrett.
We are running a people-powered campaign.
There it is, people-powered campaign. She'll say it again. But the way she emphasizes it is suspicious.
And we just had some breaking news. We just had the best 24 hours fundraising in presidential campaign history. Because we are a people-powered campaign, that is how you know we will be a people-first presidency.
All right, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Did your antenna rattle just a little bit? She focused on it. She stopped what she was doing, and she got off the teleprompter and looked forward that second time. A people-powered campaign. Like, I don't know. Are you going to the homecoming dance? Has anyone asked you yet? 800-288-9227. Let's start with Philip in Temple. You're on the James Shaw on WBAP. What do you think, Philip?
Lord help me. What was that about? She sounded like she was speaking to people, and no offensive, that are slow or, people power, breaking it down. But
that's the definition of patronizing when you talk to someone like their adult child, like a 9-year-old. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can have ice cream if you finish your chicken nuggets. Yeah.
Thank you. It was just a comment on that money, the contributions again. She's standing on thin ice because didn't they just run our former president through the ringer through our judicial system or so-called judicial system over campaign financial issues? Yeah, but
those rules don't get applied evenly. That's not a worry for them.
As long as they maintain power, as long as they win this election. But if they don't, then I'm sure that they'll see justice. Because that money, and then they called it grassroots contributions. She just dipped into the bucket of another person's money who had it.
Well, they did have big fundraising over the weekend and in the last couple of days, and she mentioned the 24 hours. So, and look.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's what you want to plant your political flag on. If you're on Team Blue, it's like, okay, you for the most of the time complain about how we got to get the money out of politics and billionaires are coming in and just buying our elections and thwarting the will of the people. Then also we have the most money. It's a delicate balance there, but no, she's not going to go to jail if they don't win the next election. Hillary Clinton didn't go to jail. None of these people go to jail. That's what's such an anomaly about Donald Trump even being prosecuted. It's sort of the Hobson's choice we have here. Either we're going to have political persecutions through the justice system, or we're going to have to give these people immunity when they do their job. The founding fathers decided on immunity. It's worked thus far up until Trump. And that's what the really curious part about them breaking the rules on Trump is. It's like, that's a huge precedent you're breaking. And I don't know if you want to go through that Pandora's box, but hopefully that one can be shut again. Because I don't like that. I don't like the idea of prosecuting her. Do you think the people that donated to these campaigns are upset that Kamala is going to spend it instead of Joe Biden? No, most of them didn't really like Joe Biden to begin with. So I don't know. I think campaign finance laws are ridiculous to begin with. If people want to donate to a campaign and they misuse the funds, that's up to them. It's a private voluntary donation. It seems to just be a way to control who gets to run and who can't run. And it really puts more power in the hands of these billionaires who can just throw money at super PACs.
But remember, we are a people first presidency.
That's right. Look, that is so sticky. And you know what? That might work. That might be a good slogan. We may be hearing that all the way through November. Thank you very much, Philip.
Thank you.
George in Grand Prairie, you're on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think, George? What do you think, George? Grand Prairie? Someone with a name similar to George? If you're in Grand Prairie, if you can hear me, talk. All right, something happened there. Forget George, if that is your name. Well, back to the sound bites here, because I wanted to start off with a different sound bite, but then she came out and she's speaking. I think it's also telling that she's speaking in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's getting a lot of attention. That's where the Republican National Convention just was, and that is going to be a swing state. Well, it's supposed to be a swing state. I believe, last I checked on the Real Clear Politics map, it's sort of leaning red. Ooh. The other thing I wanted to throw out there, what I was going to start with before I was so rudely interrupted, is let's go back to 2020. The reason why Kamala Harris didn't get any delegates, the reason why she ran for president and didn't get anywhere is Tulsi Gabbard just ended her at one of the debates. And so this is like what is this, like even a minute? Yeah, it's 51 seconds. And in this, Kamala Harris was polling okay. And then when Democrats saw one of their own, because Tulsi Gabbard, Team Blue, throw this at her, it was over. Her polling dropped off what little she had, never to recover again. And what is to keep her from deflecting this criticism this time around? I have no idea how she gets around this.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris.
All right, so that was the end of Kamala Harris after that. And the interesting part, it was also in that same round of debates where Kamala Harris condemned Joe Biden as a racist sex abuser and then became his running mate. So, you know, politics has a special way of mending previous divides. You see the same thing with J.D. Vance, 8 years ago saying Trump is America's Hitler. And now what? He's his running mate as well. Politics is so ugly, isn't it? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, I'm going to take some more of your calls. And a special treat coming up at 3:05. Blonde Kamala is going to be back on the show. The reason I'm giving you such a heads up on that is because three emailed me like back to back to back yesterday when I mentioned her name. So I was like, all right, let's get her on the phone. Let's do that. All right, so a lot coming up on the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're kind of playing the guessing game here because if they don't know what they're going to do, we certainly don't know. But we're watching. Kamala Harris is on the clock as the de facto presumptive Democrat nominee until the polls and donors prove otherwise. This is the test run. This is when you go to classic Chevy and you think you want a new car, but you test drive it first. Well, I think the donors are going to want to see some polls and some chance that they can actually get some return on their money if they're going to be giving it to Team Blue. And so I think this will continue for a few days unless the polls go south, at which the party's over and they will go with whoever is polling best, I imagine. What do you think is going to happen? Because I don't feel sorry for Kamala, but I don't think she's up for it. I don't think she can do this. I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up not being the candidate. Now, Dan Snell, who correctly predicted on Friday's show that Joe Biden would drop out over the weekend, he still thinks that somehow Michelle Obama is going to swoop in at the last second and be the nominee. Bold prediction, but what do you think? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Let's start with Joe. Hey, Joe in Grapevine, you're on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think?
Hey, James. James, we don't know what happened in the last few days with Biden. They claimed that it was COVID. We don't know if perhaps he had an episode, maybe a stroke. I know there was questions on his signature that it was even his signature, and how it's very strange how he did it on a social media and make his announcement and not come out publicly. So you really wonder what's going on, or if, as others have stated, maybe he was blackmailed. Maybe the 25th Amendment was thrown up to him by Nancy Pelosi. We don't know that either. We really don't know yet anything. But you know something, James, and President Biden, sir, I don't agree with you and I don't like you, but as a former Marine, I'd lay my life on the line for you, sir. What this man should do, if he's not in agreement, whatever in the heck is going on up there, even if any of these people are connected in some way, whether it's you want to call it a dog whistle with the assassination attempt on former President Trump, or if this director, all this encrypted stuff that came out, we don't know about that. We don't know if there could be a connection that could lead back to the White House. And I think in some of the questions was going on, what the president should do, sir, you should spill the beans. If they're blackmailing you, or who's to even say, James, and I hate to think this, who's to say that all of this prepping, this whatever it was they gave him to get him pepped up, that has not gone against him, or even to say that they didn't do something knowing it would have its limitations and exceeded that, knowing that it might do damage. We don't know that.
Joe, listen.
Sir, you should give up the beans and spill the beans on them and pardon yourself.
The record of history is going to disappoint you, though. You know, these guys usually get to grow old and die of natural causes. You know, even the worst of the worst, you know, like Fidel Castro and Stalin and so many of these guys, they're never going to spill the beans and be like, I'm sorry, I was a bad guy. Can you ever forgive me? No, in fact, he's probably going to die in the lap of luxury, being a millionaire and a historic figure and a former president, and all the glory and pomp and circumstance that's going to afford him from the media. You're going to be sorely disappointed going forward, Joe. But
that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
Okay.
I don't mean him, what he's done, what he know, his party and other people that have worked together with him, what they may have conspired to do, whether it be with the voting, the election, with anything. I'm talking about.
Why would he do that? Why would he do that?
Because what they're doing to him right now, we don't really know all the facts, James. We do not know the facts.
No, but I think
want to do this.
I think instead of spilling the beans, he'd rather keep that big dump trunk of money they just backed up to his front yard, because that's what he has in his future for his last few demented, dwindling years. Sticking with the phones, let's go to Matt in Arlington. Hey, Matt in Arlington, you're on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Hey, nice to speak to you, James. I don't think Harris is even going to be the nominee. I think the support that's behind her now is like test marketing, the new phrase. And if you want to ask if this is a people-driven presidential campaign, I'd start by asking the delegates that committed to Biden that have just been given the middle finger. If you can't run for president and you already are, then you shouldn't be president, and you should abide, and the party should abide by the 25th Amendment. They're making up the rules as they go along, and they're screwing the people as they go along.
Well, I see, Matt,
an abomination as a attorney general. It's been sketchy, and as the borders are, give me a break. I hope she doesn't get a delegate or a vote in Texas.
Yeah, I rolled my eyes at people-powered campaign for the same reason. People-powered campaign. You didn't get one vote. You didn't get one delegate. These were all just handed to you by the guy whose coattails you've been riding for the last 4 years anyway. And when you ran, you didn't get any delegates. This is the least people-powered campaign we've ever seen.
This is a deep state-driven campaign is what it is, in my humble opinion.
Whoever those donors are that pulled their support, that caused everyone to say, okay, Biden, you got to drop out. And he said yes. Those are the people who are really in charge. Not Barack Obama, not Jill Biden, definitely not Hunter. He's smoking crack right now. When we come back, all right, no more time for phone calls. When we come back, though, I have another guest. Connor Vassell is going to be on from Young Voices. And now that we have chaos happening in the Democrat Party, Biden's dropped out, scrambling for replacements. Is Kamala really the best shot? I mean, who else could it be? We'll ask Connor Vassell next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome. You're listening to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, it's official. They've announced a replacement for Joe Biden. It's going to be Donald Trump. I see what I did there, because you thought I was going to name a Democrat. Oh, that's a late one. My next guest may have a better guess, though. Connor Vassell's back on from Young Voices. Welcome back to The James Show, Connor. If you had to guess right now, who do you think the Democrat nominee is going to be?
Well, with you, I thought it was Vice President Trump, but, I think right now it's unequivocally going to be Kamala Harris. She just got enough delegates to voice on for her, so it just looks like it's going to be her, for better or for worse.
You don't think that there's going to be some polls that come out around Thursday or Friday of this week that make people change their mind?
I'm sure there are going to be a bunch of polls, but, at the end of the day, this past month in general has just been hectic, so whatever the polls say, take with a huge grain of salt, but at the end of the day, realistically speaking, it is most likely going to be Harris. All
right, well, let's go with that then. Next question would be, who do you think is going to be her running mate?
Oh, that's a spicy one, right? Because right now we're seeing a lot of potential candidates, right? Apparently she has a short list. You have Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. You also have Governor Roy Cooper. Senator Mark Kelly out of Arizona, even Gretchen Whitmer, some people are saying. So, it's at this point, I think Harris should be looking at someone who can brighten her image up a bit because, as we all know, people do not like working with a woman.
Yeah, I hear that. And what's the evidence for that? That she cycles out a chief of staff like every 3 months or something? Like, why do people keep saying that about her?
Well, apparently everyone she works with in regards to her staff, they just can't work with her. They find her unbearable. They find her, even one of them quoting that she's insecure with her own confidence level, and she berates them on the daily basis. So she doesn't seem to be like the ideal team player.
I hear you. Does she have a chance to win?
Oh, God. Why are you putting that out there, man?
Putting it into the universe.
At this point in time, anything is possible come November. You know how people are with ballot harvesting and just various voting processes throughout the states. Each state is different. So we don't know. I've been seeing actually a few polls out now saying, they vary. Trump has a 50% versus Harris 39 or whatever. And it just got me thinking, what 39% of Americans would want to vote for Kamala Harris? I know my bias is showing, but I just do not understand the logic behind that choice.
Well, there's about 20% of America that is genuinely convinced this dude is Hitler. So really, you just have to buy off a few more votes. There's people that don't think he's Hitler, but they love to get abortions or they want to get their student loan debt forgiven or something. It's not hard to get to that number, to get to 40%.
Yeah, I mean, that's realistic when you put it that way. I mean, just look at the campaign ads they're running nowadays. You see Harris coming out saying, you can't vote for Trump because a vote for Trump is a vote for a national abortion ban. It's a vote for cutting Medicare and Medicaid. It's a vote for all these things that Trump and Republicans time and time again have denounced. So right now, it's just a campaign running off of lies. And unfortunately, a lot of people genuinely believe that.
All right, Connor Vassell, how do the people listening find you outside of the James Show?
Thank you. You guys can find me on Twitter at Connor_Vasile, Vasile. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There he is again. And I want to go to the phones. Stick with the phones, I should say. And who was the first? Oh, yeah, George. George in Grand Prairie. You're next up on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think?
Hi. What I think is if this was obviously a free and fair election, there's nobody from the Democrat side will be able to beat Trump. But obviously, I don't think it's going to be free and fair. But the Democrats are in a pickle because if they get rid of Kamala, I understand it. They got to return all the campaign funds that have been contributed to her and Biden. So I think they're stuck with Kamala. So it comes down to getting someone else as her running mate that's going to energize the base. And I've been hearing chatter even before her endorsement of Kamala is it might be Hillary Clinton. And it's not about that Hillary's
No.
It's not about that she's still going to be able to beat Trump with Kamala. It's about they need to make it where it's somewhat believable enough that when they rig the elections, people are probably not going to question it because of the polling and the enthusiasm that's going to result in all the snowflakes are going to get excited to come out and vote for a Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris ticket.
Boy, if they stop voting, if they stop vote counting on election night tonight, people, you better be out there with torches and pitchforks raising hell. I'm going to squeeze in one more before the break. Okay, guys, so let's do Brian and Waxahachie. You're next up on the James Show. What do you think, sir?
Well, I was really calling about all this business about their doing things illegal and shady. When you read the rules, if you recall, Ted Kennedy almost took the nomination away from Jimmy Carter, who was the president at the time. And the rule at the time said that Carter would have to release his delegates to Kennedy in writing. Then they turned around and changed that rule, and the rule reads something to the effect that they have to, in good conscience, the delegate has to, in good conscience, vote to reflect the will of the people who sent him there. So if he can, in good conscience, cast a vote for Joe Biden, he can cast a vote for whomever. So they're really not doing anything shady. The rules already allow for this to happen.
Yeah, I think it's within the rules, and that's not the shady part of it. The shady part of it is, why did they go through this farce of a primary season only to throw out the results of all those elections? You know, are you really picking the candidate that Democrat voters want, or that voters are donors?
No, because there was only two other candidates, and I think they got a total of maybe five delegates. So no, the voter never cast a vote for Kamala Harris. But that's that's the thing about an open contested convention, and essentially that's what this is going to be.
Yeah,
and we've had contested conventions all over. Abraham Lincoln was a third candidate before he actually became elected as president, and then in '68 there was, I think, both of the conventions were contested in '68. So it's not. We may not like the process that they're doing, but the rules allow for it.
Sounds fun. I look forward to their convention. They're going to have the more interesting convention out of the two. Thank you, Brian and Waxahachie. Heck yeah. All right. The great blonde Kamala, back by popular request, next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Well, the world's most malignant tumor, called Election 2024, metastasizes along. And in today's episode of the Matrix simulation we're all going through is USA season 2024, the writers are getting really lazy. I mean, the idea that we could have a missed assassination and the other guy's so demented he has to drop out, and that without knowing who the successor is, this doesn't even sound real anymore. I mean, what more proof do you need that we're living in a Matrix simulation? Well, to mess with your head even more, we have very talented comedian to do blonde Kamala. Elsa Kurt's back on the show as blonde Kamala, and before anyone gets their panties in a wad, this is an impersonation, okay? Oh, I hear me coming back. Hey, welcome to the show, blonde Kamala.
Well, thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here again with you.
Yeah, I'm hearing an echo. Are you having problems working your equipment, Kamala? I mean, I know you're the smartest woman, and it's not good to make fun of your mental capabilities, but it sounds like you're getting your butt kicked by the soundboard.
Well, here's the thing. My staff, as you know, are problematic, and someone's going to be getting fired, right?
Well, you are being called the presumptive nominee, the de facto nominee. Do you feel like that you're just naturally going to slide in there and be the nominee?
Well, as you know, this is a momentous moment in history, in the history of our nation. And let me tell you, the moment is now, right? I mean, I'm kind of liking this echo because it's just magnifying my message. Right.
Well, it sounds like you're calling the baseball game at the Ranger Stadium over here. Listen, I'm glad to have you on, though. I wanted to run a piece of audio from you, by you, and see if you can explain, like, what the heck this today is today bit. What does this mean, this little 30-second clip here?
Today is today. And yesterday was today yesterday. Tomorrow will be today tomorrow. So live today, so the future today will be as the past today, as it is tomorrow.
What did you mean when you said that, blonde Kamala?
Right. Well, here's the thing. I am committed, to this time and space in history, and I think that we all feel a sense of commitment to helping move the dial in a direction that benefits the American people. And I think that just encapsulates the entire message of my previous statement.
The today is today and tomorrow will be today, tomorrow, and I don't see the connection at all. In your speech today, you were in Wisconsin trying to shore up a battleground in your first rally as the presumptive nominee for the Democrat Party, and you used the term a few times. This is a people-powered campaign. I have a feeling like that was some sort of focus grouped motto or slogan that y'all are testing out. Is that what y'all are testing out as a campaign motto, a people-powered campaign?
Well, we think that is, very likely to be our platform motto, and it just really delivers the message of what we're trying to say and our intentionality in the meaning of the words, right?
Dude, intentionality, that's so great. I'm already seeing some ugly things, though, now that you have been thrust as the top of the ticket. Again, de facto, it's not official. I've already seen some AI deepfakes of you, and I find this kind of disturbing because, it's hard to tell the difference between something you've really said and something that is computer generated. And it was in the form of a 60 Minutes promo. I'm going to play it for you real quick, and I'd like to get your response. This was an AI deepfake.
So what did you do to become the presidential nominee of your party?
Well, sometimes you just have to hawk Tua and spit on that thing,
Which I first saw that and I was like, wow, 60 Minutes is getting spicy today. A little bit of research. That is a deepfake AI. Completely shameful. I condemn it wholeheartedly. How big of a concern are these deepfakes to your campaign?
Well, as you know, I am the AI czar, right?
You are?
And this is something we take seriously because, as you may not know, AI stands for artificial intelligence.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And this is an issue of concern. And when we unpack the layers of this issue at hand, we see the big picture of that issue. And we know that when you can see the entirety of that big picture, you can then address those layers. And that is what we intend to do in addressing these types of problems, right?
No, I didn't get any of that. But thank you very much, Blonde Kamala. Give me a second to talk to Elsa Kurt. Can you do the thing where you do a 360 in your swivel chair and come back as Elsa Kurt?
Well, hello there. How are you?
Hey, look, it's Elsa Kurt back on the James Show. Good to have. I'd much rather talk to you than Blonde Kamala. So
Thank you.
Elsa Kurt, in your side projects, are you just all consumed with election 2024? I would love to hear your predictions on what happens next.
Oh, my goodness. Well, yes, the answer is yes. I'm completely consumed by that. This has been the past few days of just constant content creating and watching and listening, just like everybody else, except for the content creating part. My prediction, man, I don't have a prediction, but I will say I don't think that anyone should rest comfortably on the conservative side, on the Republican side. I think this is a real, legitimate fight that we have on our hands. She has friends with deep pockets, and stay in the fight. Don't get complacent.
All right, even if you're not totally committed, are you leaning toward that Kamala's going to be the nominee? Are you more than 50% in the belief that it will be Kamala?
I would say I'm about 65 to 70% based on how quickly they have magically rallied to her side and to her aid financially. How she, quote unquote, raised, 81 million, 90 million at this point, overnight, essentially. But I have concerns about those Obamas.
Right. Okay. Well, Elsa Kurt, how do they find you outside of the James Show?
Easiest place is elsakurt.com. The most fun way to find me is Elsa Kurt Official across all social media platforms.
Well, if you're looking for a new IT director, I hear Kim Cheadle's looking for a job. The former Secret Service, maybe. You could send her an application.
She's gonna be hired.
Right. Coming up next, if you want to be part of the conversation, 800-288-9227. I'll be taking some calls and running through what The View was saying about this new situation, because it seems to be the blueprint on what they're going to try for the next week or two to see if it works. I'll run that by you next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I'll get you all caught up on what the first reaction is around the talk show circuit. These things matter. I know you don't care about The View, but it is the highest rated daytime talk show that sways critical demographics of voters. You'll hear that after I talk to Jason in North Richland Hills. You're next up on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think, Jason?
Hey, good afternoon. No, man, I don't think there's any way they're going to boot her. I think that Kamala Harris is going to be it because she's an African American. She has the role. She had the amazing run with Mr. Joe corrupt Biden. She's corrupt too, and I think that if they were to axe her, it would be a total slap in their own face, and they just can't do that. End of the day, these guys did everything in their power with what happened with COVID, the way that Joe Biden is in cahoots with the Chinese. Did that really happen on accident? Did that Wuhan leak really happen? Yeah, of course it did. Then we had the impeachment, the Mar-a-Lago. We had the DOJ. We had the illegals coming into everything these guys have done to stay in power is there.
Well,
so it's not about who they nominate. Go ahead.
Well, the chips just fell a little bit more in your favor because since the James show started, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate and the leader of the Democrats in the House, they have both just endorsed Harris.
They did.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Yeah. Well, you know it's coming. I mean, look, so here's the situation. They know they can't win. They're not going to burn themselves at this point. This election's over, in my opinion.
They're just going to burn her because they don't like her anyway.
Nobody's going to beat Donald Trump with bans. It ain't going to happen. This is the way it's going to be. The deportation is going to start. We're going to turn this thing around. This deal is all talk at this point.
Well,
it's done.
I think a lot of people are cheering for that result, and you may be right. I don't have a good argument against any of that, Jason. Thanks for calling.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. So let's turn to The View. Look, The View, #1 rated daytime talk show in all of America. It controls this one demographic that if you could get voting just a little bit more Team Red, things would be very different in the suburban precincts for sure. Pramila Jayapal is one of the squad members. She's in Congress. She was on The View. And you're going to learn a lot from this little visit that she did yesterday. I broke the whole 9-minute segment down in just 4 succinct parts. #1, listen to the absolute fealty The View pledges to the new candidate. I mean, this is like a squire pledging fealty to a knight.
What do we do now?
Yes.
How do we make this work? What can these folks who are sitting out here do to ensure that she is the nominee?
Well, what a day this is, right? Because now we have our marching orders. Yeah. We have a nominee. Her name is Kamala Harris. She is going to be the next president of the United States.
They brag about having marching orders.
And we're all going to have to do that work. We're going to have to go out. We're going to beat back all the naysayers that are already coming up with all the reasons why.
Don't you like how she's talking to the host of The View like she's talking at a campaign organization event? Like, hey, we're at the local volunteers for the Kamala Harris campaign. Here's our marching orders going forward. But she's talking to talk show hosts like they're part of the campaign apparatus themselves.
You know, this is going to be hard. Sure, it's going to be hard. It's a presidential election. Mm-hmm. And that means we need everybody to be mobilizing in their communities, organizing in their communities, making sure that they are coming out with the real accomplishments of Vice President Harris, because she is remarkably accomplished, both before she became vice president, but she has been a partner in the Biden-Harris administration. She is part of why we got so much done in the last 4 years.
Like what?
And she has the agenda for the next 4 years. It's already started to be unveiled by President Biden. That's her agenda as well. She's going to put her own stamp on it. But what she needs is our faith in her and our willingness to fight back for her as we hear all of what we know are going to be a lot of misogynistic, sexist, racist attacks on her.
Of course. There it is. There it is. Hey.
Yes.
Misogynistic, racist, sexist. We got it. It starts there. It's not going to end there. I hope you're ready for another 3.5 months. Misogynistic, sexist, racist talk. But women talk so much more different than men. Like in a men-focused show, like this show, that's not how we would talk at all. If I was going to go out and be Pramila Jayapal and say to like my boys, hey, she's really qualified. You know what I would say? I would give her work record. It was like, look, she was a deputy prosecutor in Oakland for a few years. She started dating a guy who was connected at the state Senate, but he did put her at the head of these commissions, which in the 20s, she didn't make a fool of herself. She seemed to do okay. She ended up winning to be the DA in San Francisco. That was after she was dating Montel Williams. So a whole bunch of dudes like Eddie Griffin and Chris Rock were like campaigning for her in San Francisco. It's wild. She's connected out the hilt. And then after that, she became a senator and now vice president for 4 years. So yeah, she has a lot on her resume. Why didn't she mention any of that? Like I'm an even better campaigner for Kamala than the people that are on her side. But what is the actual policy platform? Let's look at some of the policy platform. There was only about 4 seconds of it in a 9-minute interview, but it was all socialism. It was all handouts, printing money, giving to other people, wealth redistribution, Santa Claus, basically.
That we're going to expand Social Security and Medicare, take care of our seniors, that we're going to make sure that we provide that universal child care. Those are the things.
Yeah. Just put a thumbtack in this thought process. Anyone promising to expand Medicare and Social Security, that's a lie. You can't. The actuarial tables are going to flip in about 5 years, and that's going to be a real problem. But let's not worry about that. Next soundbite.
There have been calls on the right, including from Speaker Johnson and Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, for President Biden to resign immediately. They say if he's unfit to run for 4 months from now, he's unfit to lead until then. So is there any merit to that? And do you expect those calls to gain steam?
It is so ridiculous. Listen, they should
Hang on. What is she laughing at? Was there a joke there? Was there a punchline there? Was there sarcasm there? Was there anything laughing? Or is that like a nervous reaction? She's insulting your candidate. She's talking about asking if your president needs to step down because he's performed so badly. All the donors ran away and everyone who looked at him said, we have to overturn the results of 50 state primaries and caucuses. That's how bad his mental acuity is. And the idea that someone would question whether or not he sits out his term. What ridiculous. That's not ridiculous. That's a legit question.
Is there any merit to that? And do you expect those calls to gain steam?
It is so ridiculous. Listen, they should be calling on their...
You hear the robot cackle back at her? Like that is funny? There was nothing funny there. It wasn't even an attempt at a joke. Anyway.
A convicted felon, a rambling, incoherent guy who wants to be
say racist again. Say racist 2 more times. Did you hear like Whoopi or someone sneak that in? And racist sneaking that in there. No, we don't need to step down. You need to step down. That's the Pee Wee Herman defense. I know you are, but what am I? And lastly, there was one clip here I just want to pull from the very, very end of the segment, and it's Whoopi Goldberg here, and she's doing just some classic projection. She's saying you're nervous, but you can tell, you can almost hear it in her voice that she's the nervous one. She's the one that's concerned about the future of the country.
I think they just figured out what it means because, you see, if the president now has immunity from everything, they're nervous.
Yeah.
They're nervous because they don't know what Joe's going to do.
Yeah, we know what he's going to do. He's probably going to eat vanilla pudding pack and hide out in the basement for as long as he can get away with it. And we don't think that the immunity ruling means the president could do whatever. He could just go around killing people. It's so scary. We're not scared. You're the scared one. You're the one that thinks we're on the verge of Nazi takeover if Trump wins the election. We're not scared over here. Even if we lose, we can handle the bumbling people that are going to end up beating Trump anyway. But there's not any fear on this. But we don't think the other side is Nazis. We don't think Hitler's about to take over. We are not nervous. You're nervous. That's okay. Just don't act like we are. We're having a good time. I mean, we're picking out champagne for November right now. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a former Secret Service special agent about what he sees in the hearings this week about the shooting of Donald Trump. That's coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.